Everyone's been getting sick lately, including myself. As you can tell, my voice is not this raspy on the regular. No one's really talking about prepping your immune system before it happens. What about checking your levels in your body before it crashes? I just got my second Function Health test back and I was kind of shocked. It checks all the different biomarkers like vitamin D, E, zinc, your white blood cell count, and all the stuff that impacts your immune system. And it does a really good job of breaking down what's in range, what's not. Also gives you some food recommendations based on your results. So this is me telling you that this is your sign to stop guessing, go get tested, and actually learn and know what your body needs. To learn more, join using my link, functionhealth.com/lovely. All caps, no hyphen.
Don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter, Hyphenly. It is our no fluff love letter with hot takes, heartfelt stories, and all the feels of living in between cultures. Come for the nuance, stay for the vibes. Link is in the show notes.
Hello, hello. Welcome to Lovely. I'm your host, Mehak. And just like that, it's Friday. If you're like, wait a minute, am I listening to the wrong podcast? No, you're not. It's Mehak. I lost my voice over the weekend. Nothing serious, but I just had a really fun weekend. I hope wherever you are healthy, you are hydrated. That's definitely something I should have done this weekend. But yeah, I want to get into a little update about what happened over the weekend. But then also this episode is going to be a fun and a special one because we have a guest who will share her unique journey. And we're going to talk all things at the intersection of, immigrant identity, strong faith, and how that really shapes dating and the different challenges and perks that come with it. So, what did I do this weekend? I've been telling myself I am not summering like I was meant to summer. And I think all of it now is coming to fruition in August. So, first and foremost, I went to a music festival here in Toronto. It's called Veld. I feel like I'm a retired musical festival girly, but I could not pass this one up because John Summit was playing. The lineup was so good. And I was like, okay, I have to go. So the festival was on Saturday. It's very hectic and chaotic to get to this festival, okay? So we took the subway down. And as we're on our way to this festival, and we're like one stop away from getting there, I put my phone under where I'm sitting. I get up to fix my fanny pack and check myself out. And then the stop arrives and I get up and I leave with my friends. I'm halfway out of the subway. I panic. I'm like, holy shit, where's my phone? And I look everywhere and I realize I left my phone on the subway. That is a tragedy, okay? I'm about to go into a festival that 60,000 people are attending with no phone, and let alone I'm a content girly. I need to document my moments. So I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I'm fully mentally prepared. Okay, I've lost my phone. I'm going to make the most of my time and we're going to do this festival. I don't know what good karma I have under my belt. After we get to the festival, my friends had messaged my phone hey, phone lost. If found, call this number. So 2 hours later, my friend gets a call that someone on the subway, a good Samaritan, found my phone and was calling to return it to me. So then I called my other friend that was in the city that could go pick it up from this person. So long story short, my friend has my phone now and I would see him later that night. So then I would get it after the festival. Amazing. Crisis averted. Now, what happened next, I was not prepared for. I'm at this festival. I'm with 4 of my closest friends. I was like, guys, please don't lose me. I won't lose you. We'll figure this out. The vibes are going. We're meeting more people. We're walking around. All of a sudden, I bump into my ex. And we like this ex, okay? We were with this ex for 5 years. It was a good ex. We like it. And it was very nostalgic because the last time I was at a festival like Veld or Digital Dreams, I was with this ex. Like, this was our thing. So, anyways, we're saying hi. I haven't seen him in so long, we're just talking, whatever. And as we're talking, I don't know what happens, but I lose my friends. I lose my friends with no phone. So now it's me, my ex, and this festival, and we're like, um, okay, well, let's find my friends, but also let's have some fun. Long story short, I ended up spending the entire festival with him and his friends because it was really hard to find my own friends. John Summit came on, all the feels were there. I feel my chakras are aligned now that I saw John Summit. Like, I spent it with my ex and then I got my phone back and that was that. But that was my weekend and it was crazy. It was chaotic. And I have my phone back, so we're good. Okay, let's get into the episode and get some more dating, maybe situationships, exes, stories. I have a very special guest, who is on today with me. Welcome to Lovely. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for having me. Hi, everyone. My name is and I'm a Muslim Caribbean girl who lives in Montreal right now.
Amazing. Okay, so there's so much to unpack with what you already said, the basics. You're a Muslim Caribbean girl who lives in Montreal. I'm really excited to get into the episode because you have a very, very interesting backstory. Just for everyone listening, let's start off with, what is your connection to immigrant identity?
From the get-go, I'm from kind of all over the place, but ethnically, I'm Caribbean, specifically Haitian. I'm American as well because I was born in the States. Caribbean parents, Latin American parents, they tend to do that where they make their children be born in like a different country than back home. So that's what my parents did. They got into a special program. They were able to give birth to me in the United States. And then after that, we left to go back to Haiti. And then we only lived a year there because it got really bad. So then we left and then we had to go back to, my parents went back to the States for a bit. And then after that, they decided to go back to move to Canada. And then I lived there for like a decent amount of time, like I think 12, 13 years. And then I left. But at the time, I lived in like the suburbs, white suburbs. I was just like, no attachment to my culture apart from the fact that I understood the language. I couldn't even speak it because it was kind of like a prejudice to my mom of me speaking the language.
Why did your mom encourage you to not speak your language? Like, what was her thinking behind that?
Okay, so a lot of like Haitian kids would understand that because it's like your parents are like, it's kind of like a prejudice a little bit where like in Haiti, the national language is French and Creole because we were colonized by the French. Essentially, one of the problems is that there's like this cultural or like social hierarchy. You can speak Creole to your friends, you can speak Creole to your coworkers or whatever, but you don't speak to Creole to me as your parent, which I find extremely stupid.
Wait, why is that? I find that that's so interesting.
It's like I'm not one of your little friends, so you don't speak that language to me. I'm your mom, I'm your dad. You owe me respect to speak to me in French. I don't know, because of, again, I blame the French for everything, but the French essentially, like at the time, we're gonna go really in depth with this, but like at the time when the French were still colonizing us, Creole was the language of the slaves. So a lot of the time it was seen as a lesser language, if that makes sense. So there's like this sort of social hierarchy where if you speak French, you're essentially quote unquote better, but I don't like to abide to that. I don't think that that's necessarily true. But a lot of like certain families have that type of mentality, and my family was one of them. So I grew up understanding the language because my mom was speaking to my dad all the time, and my uncles would speak it, and my grandparents and aunts and whatever. But I would never be able to speak it. My dad always made sure, though, like my mom made, both my parents actually made sure that I was attached to my culture. But there's only so much that you can do when you grow up in the suburbs of Canada and you're like one of the only Black kids in your neighborhood, right? Like you're gonna have that sort of disparity, like this side of like alienation, if that makes sense, where it's like you're not white, but also you're not close enough with your culture to relate to that. And then you start hating your culture because you're not like everybody else.
In your intro, you said you're a Caribbean Muslim woman. So you weren't born into this faith and religion. You converted to Islam. So I guess I'm curious if you can briefly walk us through what led you to that point. Like it's a big decision. Did you have an epiphany or like how did that fall into place?
So it kind of ties into a lot of things. My family was very heavily Christian. When I was a kid, I went through all the major steps like baptized, communions, confirmed. So my family raised me in that sense, but I never really felt a connection to that. I felt like I was forcing myself to like it. I was forcing myself to understand it. I was forcing myself to relate to it, but I was always asking why because I'm naturally an inquisitive person. So I became agnostic for a long period of my life. But then I was like, no, there has to be something out there. I would not wear my hair out. I would always wrap it in like a silk scarf or whatever. And I never liked pork since I was a kid. So I had two Muslim ladies at my workplace who look at me and they're like, well, you cover your hair, you're not eating pork. You might as well just be Muslim. And I was like, that's not how that works. Like I can't just become Muslim just because I don't do these two things. That doesn't make sense. But they were like, oh no, 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 it's okay. Like we'll talk to you about Islam. So they would sit me down and they were a bit older ladies. They were Somalian as well. They were so sweet and they would always talk to me about Islam. They would tell me things, when one of them would go do wudu to go pray, she would tell me, oh, Islam, that's what you do. You have to do ablutions, you have to make wudu. And they would give me little things and they would always try their best to talk to me about it. And I would listen to it. I would be like, oh, that's so nice. But then I'd be like, yeah, but they'd be hesitating. But they did plant little seeds. And I started learning, try to read more about it, try to be like, oh, okay, this is really like it was piquing my interest. And then at some point, I was spiritual, but I was using it as a form of control. So I was like, the manifestations and all of that, the crystals and all that. And I was like, well, I was using these because I wanted specific outcomes in my life. And I was like, in Islam, you have to have tawakkul, right? So you have to have trust in Allah. And my thing is, when I was spiritual, I was just like, I was just like, I needed to be in control of things. And I used those methods like tarot reading, all of that to be in control. But it never brought me really peace all that much because I felt like I was like restricted. So it wasn't out of place of belief, but out of like lack of control, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's kind of like you hearing you say that, I can sense the contradiction, right? Because I mean, I'm Muslim myself and I've been raised to like, tarot cardings are like they're not allowed in the religion, right? Because we believe that we're no one to predict on what's going to happen in our lives. Like it's all in Allah's hands, right? And something could be written, but He's the one that has the power to change it all. So I get the tug of war that you were probably playing in your mind, where like, well, I don't know where my life is headed. I'm being introduced to this religion. I am spiritual, but I also want to know if it's the right path for me. So, like, what can I do that's in my control to get answers? But I think the beauty of it is that like there aren't answers. You're just like on a path and eventually it will kind of like fall into place.
Exactly. And especially since at the time I was like you watching all these readings, all of these things, and I was just like, like you were saying, I was doing it because I knew there was something, but I wanted to even control that thing at the time. The fear of the unknown terrified me so much that I was like, I need to know everything. Like, and then at some point, like again, the thought of like Islam and everything I was thinking about it, but I was like, it's in the back of my mind and it's whatever. And eventually I meet this person, right? I meet this guy and he arguably like he was a situationship that I had. And I met him at the time I was a Muslim. He was Muslim. And we started talking. We were seeing each other, blah, blah, blah. It was all good. On a couple dates. It was very nice. I was over the moon. I was like, this is, like the dopamine.
Hmm.
This is the man of my dream. Like I hyperfixated on him. And at some point, he wasn't really serious, but I couldn't clock that at the time. So he ghosted me at the beginning of the month of Ramadan of 2024. Ghosted me. And I was like, okay, so who are you to do that to me? Everybody kept telling me, oh, well, it's Ramadan. He's probably ghosting you because of like Ramadan and everything. And I was like, and that's what got me thinking. I was like, what's so great about this religion that you will ditch an entire human being and treat them like they're nothing over this? Like, what's so great about it? Like, what's so special about that is what I thought at the time. So, out of spite, I kind of went and did research, more research. I was like, what's so great about Islam that people can just ditch people? Because I was reading about other girls going through the same situation as me. And I was like, what's so great about it? And the more I kept reading it, the more research I did about it, the more I was like, wait, hold on. And then I did more research about it, more research about it, more research about it. This is kind of making sense. Eventually, I had taken my shahada, and I had said it, and then I was Muslim.
Everyone's been getting sick lately, including myself. As you can tell, my voice is not this raspy on the regular. No one's really talking about prepping your immune system before it happens. What about checking your levels in your body before it crashes? I just got my second Function Health test back and I was kind of shocked. It checks all the different biomarkers like vitamin D, E, zinc, your white blood cell count, and all the stuff that impacts your immune system. And it does a really good job of breaking down what's in range, what's not. Also gives you some food recommendations based on your results. So this is me telling you that this is your sign to stop guessing, go get tested, and actually learn and know what your body needs. To learn more, join using my link, functionhealth.com/lovely. All caps, no hyphen.
New Vitamin Water Zero Sugar Pineapple Passion Fruit is packed with vitamins, just like the amount of peas we packed in that sentence. It's packed like your tote bag, the one you stole from your ex, or your overpriced half a studio apartment, or extra rushed rush hour traffic. Packed like your calendar, triple booked at 5, of course. Grab a vitamin water. Did we mention it's packed with vitamins?
So just to play it back. So growing up, moved around a lot, right? Wasn't very connected to the religion and the faith that you were born into. So you started, asking questions. And then, you met some people in your life that were encouraging you to learn a little bit more about Islam. And like the tipping point was this guy that you met. When things didn't work out of spite, you're like, well, what is so great about this? Like, what's going on? You looked into it. And for everyone listening, when you mentioned, you did your shahada, people may think that, converting to, I don't know about other religions, but for converting to Islam, it's not like one big process, like, of course, like when you are converting to a religion, there's so many things that you need to consider yourself, but the actual process of it is, you go to a mosque. Typically in like other cultures, there will be a kalma and like you read it. It's like a line or two lines. You're announced as you're Muslim, but the bigger part of it is like your connection to the religion and, no one's forcing you to do it. So, I mean, I just want to say that I think it's a beautiful thing and powerful thing that you chose to convert, to choose a faith and not just inherit one. I think that takes a lot of intention. And I'm sure it came with a lot of like internal shifts, right? And a lot of challenges too, which we'll get into later. But you were seeing someone for a year, right?
Just to clarify, so I've been single since, but technically I was always single because we were never together. And so in the periods that he was off, like he wasn't talking to me. I was trying to look for someone else, but then he would come back and I would be like, oh, yay, he's back. And then he would leave and I would look for someone else. So it's like on and off with him, but also a year within that time of me trying to find someone else because deep down, I was not happy with the situation I was in.
Yeah. And I think those are important things to experience so you can look back and say, I recognize this pattern or I've seen this before. But I want to ask something specifically about religion. When you said doing research out of spite, like, were you emotionally upset? Like, what was going on? What answer were you trying to find in this research?
I was trying to understand his behavior. Remember, I told you I have like a thing for control. Like, I'm a very, like, I need to understand. And the thing with relationships is that you inherently don't have control because you can't control another person. You don't know what goes in their head. You don't know why they do certain things or behaviors. So, like, in my mind, I was like, if the religion is making him do this, I need to know what's so great about the religion that would make him think it's okay to ditch it.
And what did you find? Like, it's obviously not the religion that made him do that.
Exactly. But, and that's the thing. I couldn't find really answers for that. I was like, what's so good? But then when I started reading about like your faith, like the faith in and of itself, and how like as a Muslim, you're supposed to put God above everything. You're supposed to, and especially like how Ramadan is a holy month, and you're supposed to worship and do things that please Allah, right? Like all of these things. And then I was just like, okay, like this is making sense as to why he's behaving like this. At least me in my naive mind, I know that right now now I know that he was just being a piece of shit. But at the time I was trying to delude myself. I was like, he's just trying to be faithful to his religion, be good to his religion. And as I was reading, I was like, oh my God, like this makes sense. I was trying to like give myself like an excuse or give him an excuse. And again, which is that aspect of like applying control and sort of under having grasp of a situation that you really don't. And then ironically got me to reading and researching because the more I was looking up, the more videos would pop up. You know how algorithm works, right? So you search up one thing and then you turn up on your YouTube and that's all you see. So then I was just like, sometimes some days I would be bored, but my YouTube algorithm was just like khutbahs or like videos, lectures and stuff.
I do want to give you some big sis advice, kind of layer my 2 cents. And I'm sure, we all go through moments when we are expecting an outcome and it doesn't turn out to be that. Ghosting someone reveals a lot about that person rather than whatever is going on with how you're showing up. And I think like back in the day, like, yeah, you didn't know much about what was going on in his mind because you physically couldn't ask him because he just wasn't present. Even let's just say, even if it was because of the month of Ramadan, Islam doesn't tell you that you shouldn't communicate with people during this month. Could have easily said, hey, this is a holy month for me. Just like I'm centering God, seeing you and dating you is like not permissible or haram right now. I'm taking a break for this month, but I will come back to you. That would make sense. But ghosting out of the blue gives more of an I'm emotionally unavailable and emotionally immature to communicate that to you. I'm just going to end it off with this. Like, did you get an answer why he was having this hot and cold behavior?
I had an answer, but never an apology. The answer was like, well, I was going through it and it was a really tough time for me.
Yeah. What demons was he fighting other than fighting himself? Like, I don't get that.
At the time, it was just, I had latched on very much to him and I dealt with that sort of like ghosting, coming back and love bombing and ghosting and love bombing for a year. And then last year or earlier this year, I was like, I'm done.
People come into your life for very specific reasons and learnings. I'm not going to minimize or invalidate how hurt you would have felt going through that experience, but I also think this person had a bigger purpose in your life because despite the reason it pushed you more towards learning about this religion, which I think has been a beautiful thing. So thank you for sharing that story. And I'm sure there's been a lot of moments in dating that have come out from this new identity that you're learning to operate with. And I guess I want to know, what does dating look like for you right now? And what are you looking for?
So the thing is, and I was having this conversation with another one of my Muslim girlies, where it's like that, I guess, halal to haram ratio.
Yeah, we both laughed at this term. And before I get let you get into your story, I want to tell everyone like what that could mean for someone that's not familiar with the term. The haram to halal versus haram ratio, it's more of like a balancing act between what's considered halal, so what is permissible in Islam, and haram, which is what's forbidden. And for those listening, like it's not always black and white, right? Like sometimes you could do, like, people try to do things with good intentions, but they can still feel like they're never doing it right enough because in the religion, it's not the way how things have been done. We've heard people joke about having a halal to haram ratio. Like, for example, like, okay, I went on a date, but we didn't like kiss or he didn't touch me. So, like, maybe I'm still good. So it's still halal, right? Like, you start doing this funny mental math of what's acceptable and what's not, especially when you're dating with faith in your mind. So, I just wanted to let everyone know that. Okay, going back to your story.
So I was talking to like one of my girlies, right? And I was just like, because it's so hard because it's easier for like a woman to have that type of mindset where it's like a date to marry type of thing, or it's like a we're just going to be talking seriously, we're going to see each other seriously, again within boundaries of what is acceptable. Because I'm going to do like a little tangent before I go back to that. In general, like in Islam, like the typical is like you get married first and then you date and you get to know the person and whatnot. Like marriage is more of like a contract, but that's like in the really like olden days, right? Where, you had a family member who knew a family member who set you two up and then you got married and whatnot. And some people still do that, but it's a lot harder in North American societies. And it's a lot harder for people like reverts like me to do that because I don't have like family members who know another family member who could set me up with someone. Do you get what I mean? So you then have to, like you were saying, go into this sort of gray area where it's like you're exploring what is permissible and you're trying to see and form a bond with someone in like a respectable way and all of that. But the problem as well is that it's easier for women to do it, men, not so much.
Why do you say that?
Oh, I will tell you. I will tell you because I've had experiences of Muslim men not being the most pious and faithful. So I was like connecting with people online, right? And I was talking to this one guy, and he was like, "Oh, I want to follow the ways of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I want to make sure that like I am like asking the proper and right questions, to get to know you in a serious manner." I was like, "Oh, okay, this guy is serious. Like he's learning. He okay. He's on something." And he was asking me things. We were talking for like a good 2 weeks, and it was really fun. Then one day he asked me, like, "Oh my god, like, can I see your hair?" And I was like, "No, like, why would you want to see my hair?" And he's like, "Oh, well, we're gonna be married anyway, so it's fine." And I was like, "Ha ha 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 ha." No. Anyways, I kind of ignored that. He tried it. He tried worse. I'm gonna get to that. And eventually, I'm like, "It's whatever. Like, it's fine." And then we keep talking. And then the second thing that he asked is like, "Oh, by the way, I have like a question to ask you." And I'm like, "Yeah, what's the question?" He's like, and don't get mad when I ask the question. When I ask it, I was like, just ask the question. And he's like, "Do you like get off? Like, do you like masturbate?" And I'm like, "Huh? Excuse me, what?" And he's like, "Oh, well, the only reason I'm asking is because I do, and watching porn is haram. So obviously, like, I want you to send me nudes so I can get off to that." And I'm like, "Yeah, actually, bye." And I block him. And I'm like, this is actually insane. And I thought it was just like a little random.
That's crazy. That really melts my ice cubes because when you think about Islam, like Islam is about discipline. It's not just about rituals. And it's also like it's not just rituals and behaviors, right? So like I think it's diabolical when you say, "Oh, a man who prays 5 times a day, but you can't lower your gaze." You know what I mean? Like that's not a man of taqwa, that's a man of impulse. Like you cannot call yourself religious and use religion as a convenience to talk to people that you want to talk to and then be ruled by desire at the same time. Like that doesn't make sense to me.
That's what I'm saying. And like the amount of dick pics I've received from this quote unquote pious Muslim men, and I'm just like, I have to block them every time. And I'm just like, you guys have no haya, you guys have no shame. Like, the worst part is I see the same men online. They'll look at like a little fashion, the little fashion hijabi influencers. Their neck is just showing a little bit, and then they're commenting 33, 33, or they're commenting like, "Oh, like you're not wearing the hijab properly." My guy, you were just gooning to Belle Delphine. I don't want to hear it.
Oh my God. Okay, so you're saying this is a continuous experiences and this is a pattern that you've experienced.
Yeah, it's something that I've noticed a lot, and it's actually insane because I was even talking to like my Muslim friends who are like, I have like one or two guys that are Muslim, but it's just like friends, right? I was telling them about my experience, and they're like, "Yeah, no, Muslim men here are like dirt trash. Like, please don't." And I'm like, "Wow, the demographic that's supposed to protect us."
It's icky because you walk into getting to knowing someone based on the belief that they're going to operate the same way you're going to operate, but I think it's a good learning and like people don't have the same heart as you, people don't have the same intentions as you, and the sad reality is it's not just Muslim men, it's a lot of different people that operate with that mindset.
Want to live better?
We've got a lot of work to do.
Join Chris Hemsworth in National Geographic's new Disney Plus original series, Limitless. Live better now.
I'm diving headfirst into cutting-edge science to uncover 3 powerful secrets to living better right now. The growth that occurs through any challenging experience is really what we seek.
Chris Hemsworth stars in Limitless. Live better now. Streaming August 15th on Disney Plus and Hulu.
It's showtime.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. With school out, summer is the perfect time to teach our kids real-world money skills they'll use forever. Greenlight is a debit card and the #1 family finance and safety app used by millions of families, helping kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. Parents can send their kids money and track their spending and saving, while kids build money confidence and skills in fun ways. Start your risk-free Greenlight trial today at greenlight.com/Spotify. That's greenlight.com/Spotify.
I guess I'm curious, like, where do you draw the line in halal versus haram ratio in dating? Like, you're okay on dating, like getting to know someone via text, call, you'll go on dates. If you're comfortable sharing, where do you draw the line? Like, have you been intimate with people? Like, would you be open to being intimate or would you need to be married before? Like, how does that work?
For me, is definitely marriage. I don't mind like hugging, holding hands here and there. But even then, like sometimes I would get a little iffy. The more I'm growing into my faith, the more reserved I'm being. I guess when I first became Muslim, I was a bit less picky with that because I was like, oh, well, it was still like I didn't know much about the religion. So I was like, yeah, it's whatever. But I guess the more I'm learning, the more I'm taking classes, the more I'm growing into my faith, the more severe I'm being in a sense that I'm like, right now, at the point of faith that I'm in right now, I'm still comfortable, like maybe holding hands or hugging and whatnot. But like anything past that, I'll be like, I don't know, like, I don't know. And that's like a thing that, again, because men are lustful beings, when you set that boundary up, they're like, oh, yeah, it's fine. And then they try to push it. They try to push it. They try to push it, especially because, you're a revert. So they're like, maybe you're just playing. Maybe you're just saying things. And it's just been very frustrating because it's like you have to tell them over and over, be like, hey, Like, I hate every time I'm talking to a man and then they're like, but can I show you something? I immediately block them because I'm like, I already know you're going to send me a dick pic.
Are you just jaded from all the past experiences that you're not even giving them a chance?
I think I'm jaded, but Mehak, voila. I'm having a normal ass conversation with a man. Nothing sexual, nothing at all. And they're like, by the way, can I show you something? I open it, boom.
Oh my God, straight to that is so traumatizing. That is so traumatizing. So, luckily and thankfully, I have never received a dick pic, not even like an unsolicited one. And I am so like, I think I would be emotionally like scarred if I ever saw one. But like, honestly, prayers for you that you never receive one again.
Literally. And it's so hard too, because it's like in one part, I asked like my imam or like my shaykh, I'm like, hey, if you know someone, can you set me up? Cause like I'm trying to get married. Cause let's be real as well. Like as much as like women can control themselves, we're still humans and we still have needs.
Oh, we have needs. Yeah. Anyone that says otherwise is a phony. They're faking it. Like, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like you have needs and like and you need those needs to be fulfilled, right? But you can't keep doing them in a way that's not befitting, God. So obviously I asked like my sisters in Islam at the mosque. I'm like, hey, if you know someone that's trying to get married, or like I'm trying to find so hard, but it hasn't been working. Like, I've tried for the last year and it just like it hasn't been working out.
Yeah. And how old are you again?
I'm 24.
24. I asked that, but I know it doesn't have much to do with age. It's something that you want for yourself. And like you said, like you want to do it the right way, the Islamic way. And I understand that some of the things or some of the experiences that you want to experience in order to do it the right way, marriage is the root. Like you're dating intentionally, you want to date to marry. And I feel like people who love bomb you, who come in really hot, heavy, intense, it burns out just as fast. Look for that slow burn. It'll take you a long way. And I always say people who are more secure, which you want to date someone that has a secure attachment and not anxious or avoidant, because with anxious attachment, you're fearing abandonment. So you want to receive and do everything really quickly. And with avoidant attachment, you fear rejection. So you do love bombing so you can kind of trap the person into loving you so they don't reject you. But like when it's a secure person, they eventually know like they can trust themselves, they have a good sense of themselves. They move at a pace that feels right and good. So, definitely some things I've learned, which I'm just trying to pass down to you.
And I definitely want to agree with the point that you said about the low self esteem thing. In terms of like love and relationship, I did have like a very low self esteem, but I also want to add to the fact that, you know, I have BPD, right? Like diagnosed and everything. So that was also another factor that came into play because he kind of just made me feel a rush of emotion. I was in a low self esteem. I had just come out from like a massive depressive episode for the last years. And I was like there and I was like giving up on love. I was like, oh, whatever. And then he came into my life. So it was just like, I like dedicated all of like my happiness to him. I was like, focus.
Oh, wow. Can you clarify something for me? Is it borderline personality disorder? Or is
Yeah,
it
borderline
bipolar?
personality.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
No, I have bipolar too, but bipolar is different. You have like something happens to you and you feel extremes of emotions. You don't go in a regular, you don't pace yourself with your emotions. You go to like high extremes for everything.
I'm sorry to hear that. And then you have to go through it because it's not easy day to day life when you're just thinking and caring for yourself. But when you bring someone else into the equation, I can imagine how tough that is. I actually was with someone who had BPD, and it was really it was challenging. Is this something you say up front?
I'm very open about it because I think it's something that I need to let people know so that they know how to like act with me as well. So it's like, for example, like I overanalyze faces a lot. So if I'm like, especially with my roommates, like so let's say I see that my roommate, one of my roommates, like I knock on her door and she's just like, "Oh, I'm busy. I'm a little tired. Maybe later." immediately I'll feel like, oh, did I do something? Do they hate me now? And then it's like, because she knows she also has BPD, but because she knows that I have BPD, she'll text me like, hey, I'm mad at you. I'm not angry at you. I'm just really low. Like something happened with me today and I just need some space. This is nothing on you. I just need some space. Like I'm not mad. And the fact that you're able to tell that to someone, be open about like your mental issues, makes it that they understand how to act with you in a certain way, you know? The thing is, what makes BPD toxic, because I don't think BPD is necessarily a bad thing. I think it's demonized a lot in media. But I think that what causes like a lot of toxic situations with people who have BPD is the lack of communication and lack of like proper boundaries, right? So if you're able to communicate and respect that person and understand how their brain works and, you know, do your part into helping them feel seen and accepted, I don't think that being with someone that has BPD is a problem. Do you get what I
Yeah,
mean?
no, no, that's not what I think at all. I think there needs to be more awareness and education on the topic. And, you know, if someone does come to you, whether that's a friend, that is a partner, or it's just someone that you meet in the workplace, I think um, we should kind of take it upon ourselves to research a little bit more into it, and respond accordingly. But even though you're very young, I think you've had quite a few unique experiences, and I do want to thank you for being here with us. I want to kind of wrap up a little bit with some quick rapid fire questions. So, what is an instant green flag for you now?
Communication.
Amazing. What is an instant ick?
Lack of communication.
Okay. What's one thing you'll never ignore again?
Not respecting my boundaries.
Okay. What's your ideal first date?
Definitely a good restaurant and a nice walk around the city.
Okay. And if you could go back in time, what advice would you give yourself?
Don't erase yourself for him. Don't like destroy your identity for them, not just him, but for anyone. Because I used to do that a lot.
Absolutely. Amen. Amen. I love that. One of the things that I really learned or have had to unlearn actually is, you know, stop thinking that you have to earn love by being easy or low maintenance or chill about everything, or like you said, changing who you are. One of the biggest lessons that you'll learn is, you know, you weren't hard to love. They were just not equipped to love someone like you or to love at all. And I think a lot of the experiences that we talked about is we often confuse chemistry with consistency or potential with partnership. And you don't need to prove yourself to someone who's like unsure. You know, you should be getting that clarity and softness and effort without like really begging someone for it or like trying to convince them, you know? And you're allowed to want more. Like you are allowed to walk away the second it feels like crumbs, you know? So like definitely take your time, take your space, be delulu. Like I feel like being delusional opens up so many doors, but don't be delusional to a fault, you know? And yeah, don't ever let someone come at the cost of your standards. And I am so optimistically hopeful that love will find you exactly where you found yourself. So keep at it.
Thank you for having me and giving me this opportunity. I was really happy to be a part of the show today.
You're so welcome, I had a great time chatting with you.
It was great. I had lots of fun. I felt like I was all over the place rambling at times, but it was really cool.
Yeah, and like always, everyone, see you next Friday. Lovely is an Immigrantly media production. This episode was produced by Sadia Khan and Shay Yu, written by me, Mehak. Theme music, sound design, and editing by Lou Raskin. Other music is by Epidemic Sound. Tune in every Friday for more Lovely.